Any other advice would you give yourself work-wise, how to be successful, how to progress in a way in your career that is optimal for you?
Yeah. I mean, and I will say it does feel like the workplace, like what worked then is not necessarily what works now. Because running a nonprofit organization over the last, 12 years, I also, felt firsthand how different it feels to be a lead, an organizational leader, now versus, even 10 or 20 years ago. So some of the advice doesn't really translate through the years, because, my first reaction to your question would be to say, have more confidence. Um, I did not have a lot of confidence in any role that I had, partly because I was always, as I mentioned earlier, doing it probably before I should have been doing it. So I felt young and inexperienced. I was a woman, often in a room with mostly men, and so I was always hyperventilating on the way home from work. So confident. I think, and then watching other people that just seem so like they're not thinking too hard about it, right? They're just being authentic, and they're being leaders. I mean, I was always almost like hyper empathetic about, what will they think of that? How will they react to that? In real time, which I think hampered um, my success. Definitely, I was too in my head about what I was doing, and it often came through. I remember one boss said to me, you're too he said my style was, I was not fluid enough. And I said, that's because I'm thinking, I'm projecting out what I'm going to say, what I'm going to do. And he said, well, it comes across as you're being halting, and that's not good. He was trying to be helpful.